I realized more and more that I was an impact real estate investor. So I wanted to work with people that were solving a problem
Mm.
as opposed to just being focused on cash returns.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Real Estate Path. It's your boy, Jimmy Lee. This show is about the real journey, not some highlight reel that you see on Instagram. Because success in real estate isn't built on luck or fancy suits. It's built on failed offers, blown budgets, and the guts to keep going when everyone taps out. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a beginner, we're here to deep dive the wins, the loss, and the lessons behind each real estate journey. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Rachel.
Oh man, Jim, this is awesome.
Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Jim. This is incredible.
Absolutely. So, Rachel, can you give our audience a little context into who were you before real estate and what inspired you to get into real estate?
Oh my gosh. So before real estate, if I'm really going into my journey, I joined the Army in 2008 and did the whole like Army officer thing. I did 2 combat deployments and did government. So I was like chugging along on my W-2 contributor like world, right? I started getting more and more miserable. And so I thought I should go to corporate America. That'll make me happy. Turns out it did not. So my husband and I had been involved in real estate with our VA loan properties, right? So in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Columbia, South Carolina. And we started talking more and more as I became more and more miserable in a nonprofit I was working at. He was like, "Have you ever thought about us looking at creative finance?" And I was like, "That sounds very scammy." He put more pace Morby on for me, and I was like, "That seems even more illegal. There's absolutely no way I'm doing that." And after 4 months of browbeating me because I became more and more miserable in my W-2, I started learning more about lending, more about creative finance, more about real estate, and how to use those assets to truly make generational wealth as opposed to just kind of talking about it.
Mhm.
And that's when I made the big dive into really being like, okay, this is what I'm going to do full time.
Can you walk the audience through the journey of taking advantage of your VA loan? Because I have a lot of clients who's a veteran and they don't really know how to work that. And should they just jump into a fourplex on the very first deal?
Oh my gosh. So I love that you said that because the biggest thing I tell to veterans that want to get into real estate investing is that the VA loan is your most powerful vehicle into real estate investing because just as you said, you can use a VA loan to buy up to a quadplex, which makes house hacking, which Bigger Pockets obviously made very popular,
Mhm.
much more achievable. But the bigger thing I think that's important for veterans to understand about the VA loan is that you don't just use it once and it goes away. You can have up to $860,000 in entitlement associated with you. And all it takes is going on va.gov, looking up your information, and seeing how much entitlement you have left.
Wow.
So I encourage anyone here who is a veteran or a real estate agent who works with veterans that when they're talking about their VA loan and what they have the capacity to do, to simply have them log on to va.gov to see what they have available. In my personal opinion, I think that buying a quadplex is probably one of the smartest things a veteran can do. But you have to be smart. There are certain markets that that's going to be more risky for you because the powerful thing about the VA loan is that you put no money down, but it also means it makes you really susceptible to market change.
Hmm.
And so since most military towns don't really appreciate and value the same way, a Houston or a Seattle or a Charlotte or an Atlanta do, you have to make sure you understand what you're getting into. And that's totally fine because you have communities like Sub 2 where you can talk to people like you or I or my husband or other people who have been doing this and can walk you through the patterns and the traps that people tend to run through.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, how did you manage to transition from taking advantage of VA loan and then just branch off to into this the creative world?
Yeah. So the VA loan, it was really cool for my husband and I because we're both veterans. So we both have, between the two of us, $1.6 million worth of real estate that we can purchase with no money down. So we haven't done it yet.
Oh,
We're working our way because there are stipulations with the VA loan where you have to show that that's going to be a place that you want to make your primary residence. So I am really big into ethics. Anyone who watches any of my content knows that. So I'm trying to figure out how to manage that loop in a way that isn't unethical. But the way that we leveraged looking at more creative versus the VA loan is, again, just kind of opening your mind and talking to other people who are a little bit further ahead. And so I started not by doing buy and holds, but by lending, because I thought to myself, if I'm going to ask other people to give me money on my deals, I better know darn well what it feels like to lend money on someone's deal and know what kind of communication do I need. At what point in the military we talk about an SIR, serious incident report. When do I want people to tell me those with our lend? So currently we've got pretty significant amount lent out. I have not lost any money in my lending, which I am really proud of, particularly since how 2025 went for a lot of people. And then we got involved with PMPs. So I now, with my husband, own 18, well, we're equity partners in 18 doors in Dallas, Texas with Michael Monastakanian. And we just took down I believe it's 12-door sober living in Charlotte, North Carolina. So for me, it wasn't like, we love this community and taking action. And like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get the pre-foreclosure and I'm going to do the thing. But I understood that I needed a little more skill development. And the way that I got those skills is by working with people that were ahead of me through PMP. So I was fortunate enough to have the money in my account to be able to do that. But it's made it now that after a year of being involved in this community, I now have the capital partners to do my own buy and hold, the GCs to do my own buy and hold, the operators to do my own buy and hold for co-living in Charlotte.
That's amazing.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk us through that journey. Like, what does it take to really find all those relationships and the struggles? And of course, I'm sure at some point when you try to find a potential collaboration, sometimes it doesn't always pan out.
No.
So yeah, walk us through that.
I think for me, I always appreciated that Pace and Jamil talk about taking action, right? But in the military, we talk about calculated risk. And so when I joined Sub 2, I was very much about like, I want this huge portfolio, right? Like we all do. I think everybody comes in this community and they're like, I want the world. And I realized very quickly that the risk associated with that was not one that I was comfortable with. And so I just started going to meetups. I started talking to people about why I wanted to purchase real estate. I realized more and more that I was an impact real estate investor. So I wanted to work with people that were solving a problem as opposed to just being focused on cash returns. So I really felt that I wanted to make sure I was heart aligned, not just like aligned with someone and that we're both entrepreneurs. And it took me darn near 9 months to find people. And I was at people's baby showers. I was going to meetups. I was going to birthday parties. We were going to dinner. I was willing to take the time to know that people I was jumping into these types of long-term relationships with were the people I actually wanted to be involved with. And you can't fast forward that. And I think it's really important that the audience understand that. Like, you can get quick wins if you want to be a jerk. It is not hard to go out and knock on doors and find desperate and vulnerable people and take advantage of them. It's not hard at all.
Yeah.
If that's not who you are, and I wasn't. Like, even when I entered real estate, I didn't always know what right looked like, but I always knew what wrong felt like. And so I took that mindset with the relationships with the people I was working with. And then candidly, you'll think this is funny because you've been on my podcast. I was like, I need a mastermind. I'm going to start talking to people who have done the thing that I have not done or are a little bit further ahead so that I can rely on them, their experiences, their failures, learn from them, and make my decisions quicker.
That's great. I always tell my community that, you're a smart person if you learn from a mistake, but you're a wise person if you learn from other people's mistakes. There you go. You already know what I was going to say. But I really love that you shared that it takes you 9 months to really build that relationship and trust.
Yeah.
Because for the past 2 years, I've been consistently going to meetup 2 times a week, volunteer for meetups, host my own meetup, and have my own podcast show with no results to show. And finally, this year, people are beginning to bring me opportunities such as capital and deal flow. And it's just about building personal brand, but also be able to maintain relationship with my community that I'm building, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it takes. I always tell everyone, showing up is half the battle.
100%.
Yeah.
And coming with the right questions, right? Like, it's really easy for people at a meetup to just come to you and be like, do you have a deal? How do I provide value? Yeah. It's like, dude, what's your name?
What's your buy box?
like, bro, like, before I give you my phone number, let's figure out if like you actually like me.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it too was just even with like GCs, right? Like
Mm.
talking to people that were further ahead than me and being like, hey, what are your experiences with this GC? What are things that have gone wrong? How'd you handle that? Because everyone wants to play the highlight reel of all the crap that they've done that went really well. Like
Yeah.
everyone loves to be like, I made this much and I made this much. But I think the bigger lessons are the ones where you screwed up. And when your back is against the wall, to be like, I could have chosen to take care of me and hurt other people, but I didn't. I took care of those people. And I looked for those GCs. And I looked for the people who worked with those GCs. So, and again, same thing with operators, same thing with, second chance property managers. But yeah, I think a lot of it again is just having really serious conversations with people on the front end before you run into that problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So talk us a little bit about that. You mentioned sometimes you do go through struggles. Can you tell me a little bit about a situation where you went through challenges and let's put it
right now.
let's just yeah, please share.
So, no, I love this. I'm going to highlight a friend of mine and a partner of mine, Chad Choquette. Chad Choquette came to me and connected me and my husband on a deal back in August of 2025. 45 days, transactional lending. You'll have your money back, da da da.
Yeah.
It is now the 14th of March, and I don't have my money back. But I still have an incredible relationship with Chad Choquette because the entire time, anytime something went wrong, Chad called me immediately. Hey, I want to give you an update. This thing happened. He and I and my husband were learning together. He'd also cross-collateralized that loan against 3 different assets. So I knew I was getting my money back.
Yeah.
But it was just a matter of how long is it going to take? And that's a lesson that, again, I think your audience needs to understand. If you're lending money, you need to make sure that you're not paying bills with that money. You need to make sure that your kids are going to get Christmas presents even if you don't get that money back, so that you aren't over leveraged. We use that term a lot, right? Like, someone's over leveraged, but what that means to someone is really personal. And I think the more time people spend talking to themselves about that, the better they'll be for it. Chad and I are still working on this. We may get our money next week based off of a restructure he's doing with Jim Vanny. But if that doesn't work, it's going to take another 6 to 9 months. But he did the right thing and he told me the truth.
Yeah.
And so because I was responsible with my husband on the front end with that money and knowing, hey, we may never see this money again. And that's okay. We will. It's just going to take longer. If you can't be mature and responsible enough with your money in that regard, you shouldn't be learning it.
So good. So much to unpack there. I mean, everything you shared. Oh my God.
Sorry.
It's so good. I'm learning so much from you just talking to you.
I
Just
love that.
FYI. When you say over leverage, that's the big thing, right? Like someone within our community, Bill Fisher, right now, he has a magnificent 12-plex deal right now.
Killeen, Texas.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I
already
know
know
it.
where I'm going with this. He would take that down in a heartbeat, but he just had too much capital to deploy, and he doesn't want to over leverage, like you mentioned.
Yep.
You gotta take that calculated risk, like you mentioned. right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think the other part is people get in so many deals and they're like, well, this will happen. And when something goes sideways, it can completely derail these other things. So you have to be both tactical and strategic when you are lending your money. And I think most people really know how to be tactical.
So good. I want to ask, shift gear a little bit. What are you currently working on now?
Oh my God, what am I not working on?
What's your vision? What's your vision for 5 years? What are you looking to accomplish?
So I will answer that with what I think today.
Mhm.
But I think it's really important to explain to your audience that when you're an entrepreneur and you're really trying to do big things, the answer I'm giving you today may look completely different a year from now. Because the more I learn about how to move money and how to solve problems with real estate, the more things unlock for me where I'm like, oh, I could do this in 5 years instead. And it's so much bigger. So currently, we live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I worked for a nonprofit where our number one most requested service was affordable housing for veterans, and asked me how many veterans I housed. 0. Because the CEO of the nonprofit was like, we don't do direct care. I had a real problem with that. And I didn't understand creative finance at the time. And I didn't understand master lease agreements at the time, but I knew I was like, there's gotta be something better than that. And so my long-term vision for Charlotte, North Carolina is to ensure that when someone comes into the continuum of care and they are asked the question, did you or someone in your family serve in the US military? And they answer yes, that my husband and I can provide a place for them with rapid with rapid rehousing. And we have a vision to make it go from rapid rehousing to something more stable, to something where they can eventually purchase their own first home on a seller finance type of scenario or a lease option. My vision, again, for Charlotte is in that regard. But I've also started branding myself and branching out in other places. So even since we've been at Squat Up Summit, I'm now working a contract to get on 20 different stages in the next 18 months to talk to women about empowering themselves through learning how to create other avenues for passive income. And to me, that's so incredible because too many people get stuck on, I'm going to get rich on real estate passively.
Right.
I would like you to name me one real estate investor that has passive income through their assets. HVACs break. Tenants need to be evicted. Like, people don't pay. And if you don't have the active income to be able to sustain you through that, you will become a person that our community comes after as someone who's in distress.
Right.
And so I shifted my goals over the next 5 years to say, instead of I'm going to have this much real estate, to say, I want to make so much money that my CPA tells me I have to buy more real estate, and then leverage the creative community to be able to acquire those assets.
Yeah.
So I also am working master lease agreements in San Antonio with Amigos Housing. Are you familiar with Vin and Michelle?
Yes.
Okay.
The capital raisers.
Yes.
Yes.
So them's my people.
Yeah.
I'm currently working their affordable housing initiative and working with nonprofits and actually the University of Texas in San Antonio. We currently have a master lease agreement sitting in our inbox that we will be reviewing with their decision makers next week to house aged out foster youth in I shouldn't say they're their properties. I just feel like I have ownership at this point because it's just so cool.
Yeah.
But knowing that I'm helping Vin and Michelle achieve their goal of housing aged out foster youth, along with the university that has that need, feels really incredible. And now I'm like, if I can do it once, where else can I do it?
Right.
So that I don't have like I'm going to do 20 places, 30 places. I'm just like, what other teams can I build so that we can make this national?
Yeah. I love everything you shared. It's so purpose driven and
100%.
yeah. And it's it's very inspiring. So I want to ask you that when you have so much going on,
I do.
how do you not get distracted by this shiny object syndrome? Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people lose track of doing what they're supposed to do, lose track of the path that they're supposed to be on. Because I tend to do that to myself. I'm guilty of that. And sometimes I'm like, I'm in that multifamily space, but I see RV parks, mobile homes, storage, all these things I can also raise capital for potentially. But in my head, I always try to just stay in my lane because multifamily is what I understand, is what I know, it's what I've been studying for the past, few years. So
what helps me, first of all, I have zero desire to be in RV parks. I have zero desire to be in mobile home parks. I have zero desire to be in storage. And I think a lot of it comes back to my why. I'm a impact investor through and through. If I'm not investing in something that solves a problem, I actually get really bored. And so it's easier for me to stay focused because the people that end up orbiting around me and that I attract are usually the same type of people. So I don't get distracted. I think to myself, how do we leverage this in other networks? Because even if someone brings something to me and I'm like, it's not my thing, but it is this person's thing. So why don't I just introduce you to them? So I don't view relationships as something to hoard. I view them as something to share.
yeah.
And that helps me not get distracted because I just want to help people achieve their dream. And it doesn't mean that I need to do it with them.
Yeah, it's powerful. Collaboration over competition.
100%.
Is there anything else that you haven't shared that you like to?
If I can do a bit of self-promotion, I would
for
love
it.
to share that I actually had you on my own podcast.
Oh yeah.
So I have a podcast called REI Baddies,
Mm-hmm.
and we drop an episode every Monday at 6 a.m. on people doing things like you, Jim, in real estate and not just talking about them. And not only that, Kate and I, my co-host and I, focus on people doing ethical business. So as you know from being on my show, one of the questions you're going to get asked is, how many times where things didn't go right? Because it's really easy for people to throw a highlight reel up. But you learn who people are when their back is against the wall and they can make a decision that hurts other people. And so by highlighting people like you in the community that make those good decisions when it's not to their own self-benefit, to me, that's what new people in this community need to see. They need to see the people that they like, that they know they can trust, that they can work with. So if you're interested in that, you like what Jim's doing, you can look up his episode on my podcast.
Yeah, be sure to check it out. Real Estate Baddie, right?
REI.
REI Baddies, yeah. Great. It's very aligned with basically
What you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as with
100%.
our show. So how can people find out more about you?
Yeah. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is right now to go to my LinkedIn, actually. I'm probably of all the people in this community, I know we all love Instagram, we all love Facebook. I have over 7,000 followers on LinkedIn at this point. So finding me at Rachel Davis sub 2 on LinkedIn is the easiest way to get a hold of me. And my website will actually be launched in the next 3 weeks by my husband and his branding and marketing agency to get on more stages. So when I have that, I will get that link to you, my friend.
Awesome. We'll be sure to include it in the link below.
I love it. Thank you.
This concludes another episode of the Real Estate Path. If you found value from today's guest, be sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend who's also looking to achieve their real estate dream. Most importantly, take what you learned today, apply it because action solves all problems. Now go out there, make some offers, and build the life you've always dreamed of. We'll see you in the next episode.